Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer, and we are returning to Let's Play of War in the West, where we've encircled large parts of the German army in Italy, in a couple of pockets here, between, well, south of Rimini, basically. So we've got a large pocket of German forces here. We've got some smaller groups of Germans a little bit further down to the south, where we're trying to hold off the Germans here in the north, which seems to be working out relatively fine, I guess. So let's see what we're going to do, and we're going to start with the air phase, of course, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategy that we're doing. So, of course, the biggest issue is to try and reduce these pockets to free up all of our units that are currently clearing up the things down here, and then ultimately push back into this northern Italian plain over here. But before we do that, we will need to build up some resources here, some supplies. So I think the highest priority, actually, that we've got is to free up this rail line. Currently, we cannot use this to bring up supplies to the depot in Bologna because there are German units adjacent to that, and that basically means we can't bring or run trains across here. So basically, we will need to get rid of these people. That's going to be a high priority. The other one is, of course, to reduce these pockets in and of themselves. So let's look at the air phase, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more detail because you guys have asked me about that. So the way I want to do that is, I think I want to do that in the way that we're going to look at this item by item, so that it's a little bit more transparent. So firstly, let's start out with the ground support. We've got a couple of units here assigned to ground support, so that means, as you can see, there are 6 groups, of which one is going to be an escort group with 16 planes, and the others are probably going to be attack aircraft, so AC, with 50 aircraft that are currently flying ground support missions here as part of the 12th Fighter Command. And these guys are going to try to support the headquarter here. So they're going to try to support the 30th British Corps, which is basically all of these units here that are around over here. So that's direct combat support. So basically, the army commander here can call back on about 70 aircraft or so to directly support his attacks against the Germans here in very close coordination. On the left side over here, we've got the Desert Air Force slightly stronger with about 110 attack aircraft. So these guys are also going to support basically, I think, what is the 7th US Army. So basically the guys that are standing over here. And yeah, I think that's going to be all right. That's going to be direct ground support, mostly by fighter bombers. So single engine aircraft that are coming in very low, strafing the enemy, dropping some bombs from undercarriage systems. Not the most accurate, but sort of okay when you're directly attacking any enemy units. Most important attacks are going to be ground attacks, though. So these are independent attacks by the Air Force against ground targets without any direct coordination with ground troops, but just basically trying to fly out, find enemies, and bomb them. That's not normally the most efficient thing that you can do, but I do think it's very warranted here, specifically because if these guys do shoot back at us, it will require some AA guns on their side, and that will draw their ammunition. They're currently cut off from any supply, so that would be kind of okay for me if these guys are using their ammunition to shoot at our aircraft instead of our ground boys. So hopefully we're also going to reduce their capabilities to fight a little bit. And any damaged units that we're going to produce is going to make it harder for the Germans because they cannot recover from that. So let's look at that. Down here we have got, can we see that anywhere? Yeah, somewhere in the middle of this pop-up here. You can see there are about 200 aircraft that are coming here from 12th Bomber Command. These guys are mostly marauders, so they are even on escorts, so B-26s, sort of 2-engine bombers. As you can see, these guys are going to fly level at a very sort of medium altitude and drop around 4 1,000-pound bombs. We could change that, of course, to various different setups over here, but I think this is going to be a fine setup overall. So yeah, let's try to attack here with all of these air groups. 204 level bombers that are going to come in at sort of medium altitude here. We've also got a further mission here by 12th Bomber Command. These guys are going to be another 500 bombers, so many more, but there are more targets over here, so that's fine. These are also going to be escorted. These are Mitchells mostly, either from the Americans, so that's the B-25, or from the British or Commonwealth forces. These are the Mitchell 2s, and a couple of Wellingtons. Again, sort of very similar aircraft here. Honestly, the difference between the Mitchell and the Marauders is very negligible, honestly. So yeah, these guys are just going to come here, drop a lot of bombs from sort of medium altitude, and gonna attack there, and that's going to be all right. Good. And then we've got a ground attack mission here by 12th Tactical Command. So these guys are, again, our single-engine aircraft. So these Hurricanes, for example, as you can see, sort of a fighter aircraft that has been assigned as a ground attack aircraft. And they actually train as bombers, so they should be fine. They're going to fire rockets. They're going to fire their 20mm cannons at anything that is going to be on the ground. But these guys are going to come in significantly lower, which does typically mean that they're going to take more casualties. But I think it's going to be fine. We've got about 900 aircraft that are going to attack these 4 positions here of the Germans, in the hope that we can free up our rail capacity there. And that is basically it for the ground attack aircraft or the ground attack missions. Not much more to see there. Let's look at our strategic bombing. So the heavy 4-engine bombers that are going to try to wreak havoc on Germany. And you can see we've got a couple of missions here. Let's start out in the south. We've got the 15th Air Force, so the, well, basically American Air Force that is based around Foggia over here in these large airfields. And these guys are going to fly to the Romanian oil fields, which is where the Germans do source quite a bit of their oil from. So around Plotzi, you should be able to see that if we do select you, I think we can see that. So yeah, there are a lot of oil refineries around, and there are a lot of oil production facilities around. We're going to directly target the oil field, so not the fuel production, but the oil field. And you can see there's quite a bit of damage already on these 2 oil fields here. Level 30 oil fields, very, very big, but 40 and 36% damage respectively, so that's nice. Bit of damage here, a bit of damage there. Basically, this area here is full of oil fields. We're going to try to target all of them. How many have we got over there in total? 108 oil fields. That's a lot. And we're pretty much going to go only for that, so that's fine. With about 700 aircraft, mostly B-24s, a couple of B-17s, a couple of Halifaxes here, and a couple of Lancasters. And for the first time, actually, I think I want to use some incendiary bombs here against these oil fields, because I just want to find out whether they're going to be any good. But yeah. By the way, these Lancasters here are, of course, a Canadian Air Force squadron. I thought they were British, but they're Canadian. And they're the only one flying it today currently. We're going to get to that in a second. You can see the route that these guys are taking is a little bit funny, and that's because there's very bad weather over here at Kosovo and Montenegro. So there is snowfall over here, and I don't want to fly through the snowfall, so we're going to try the direct detour here via Albania and Macedonia to fly north, then via Skopje. So let's see whether that's going to be any good. We're not going to be escorted all of the way. We've got a couple of lightnings here. They can't make it all of the way, but I guess that's going to be all right. Yeah, you are carrying drop tanks, so this is pretty much as far as you can go. Let's see whether we can help out there. Right, so what other actions do we take against the Germans? You can see we've got one group that is going to fly over here via Denmark and sort of via the Baltic Sea and North Sea. So these guys are going to sort of avoid most of the defenses in Germany to try and come around here via Stralsund and attack Stettin. Now, Stettin is one of the largest synthetic fuel production facilities. You can see there's about 30 points down here in 2 facilities. And these guys do have some damage, but I really, really want to make sure that these guys do stay out of action for a long time. So we're going to try to target these guys. There's also a minor V weapon production facility here, so I'm guessing V1s, I don't know precisely. But we're going to try to take these guys out with the 2nd Bomb Division here. These are mostly B-24s, so Liberators again, very heavy 2 4-engine bombers actually. And a couple of Liberators from the British as well. You can see they're trying to be escorted, but basically once they're touching the German coast over here, yeah, well, the escorts do have to turn back. So they're going to be unescorted all of this way, and that's going to be tough because there are a lot of air defenses around Berlin. And I do think that might take some casualties here. But there's only so much that we can do. Let's hope these guys are doing fine. Right, what else have we got? We've got the rest of the 8th Air Force, so the rest of the American aircraft are going to try to target this area here around. Well, I guess it's not the Spessart. This is more the Hesse-Palatinate area. We're going to target the facilities here at Mainz. You can see there's a large vehicle production yard, so truck production basically. 78 points. It's the biggest production facilities that the Germans have got. It's still damaged, but I do want to do a little bit more damage here. And we did make sure to include Frankfurt in there as well, because there's another facility vehicle yard here at about 15 points, a third of which is damaged, so let's call that 10 attack points. Basically want to get rid of that. It does look a little bit funny, but that is the only way that I could target these guys without extending this further down here towards the Mannheim area, because basically, and this is the interesting bit, you can see we are escorted all of the way, and we've got 350 fighters here, mostly Mustangs, one Lightning group, but these guys here are ready to try to take on the Germans here. And the most amazing thing about that is these guys are not carrying drop tanks, and that is quite important because the drop tanks do decrease the maneuverability of these aircraft, and they do decrease the climb ability, they do decrease the max speed. So this is pretty much the maximum range that we can fly without any drop tanks. And I think that's going to be great because that is going to enable us to fight the Germans much more aggressively. Let's see whether that is going to work out. At the minimum, I do want to take on these truck production facilities. Bomber Command, so the British guys are going to do the same thing over here in the Ruhr area. They're going to come in at night. They're going to be heavily escorted, but probably they're going to take a lot of damage here from flak. But mostly these guys are going to target the fuel production facilities in the Ruhr area. We really haven't targeted these enough before, so let's see whether we can take them out. And that, I think, is going to be very interesting because historically these things were some of the most difficult for the Allies to spot. They didn't even know that they were there for a long time after the war, until after the war actually, because they are so integrated into some of these larger facilities here. Nevertheless, the British did manage to hit them on occasion by accident, basically. So, yeah, kind of interesting to see. But mostly towards the end of the war, and it didn't really matter that much anymore. Right, so that's basically the largest efforts that we're going to make over here. We've also got number 6 group, that is the Royal Canadian Air Force. So the Canadians here are going to fly their 2-engine sort of heavy medium bombers, the Wellingtons, into this area here to try and attack some of these V weapon launch sites. So these are basically the ski rams in northern France, where they did launch the V1 from. So we're going to try to reduce that so that we are getting some victory points here. It's not going to impact the German economy in any way, but it's still going to be nice. It's only 100 aircraft, so let's see whether that's going to be useful. We're also going to try to target with the 9th Air Force. These are the American tactical bombers, so again, some Marauders here. These guys are going to try to target the ports and rail facilities in the region so that the Germans cannot ultimately resupply that once we are taking that on a bit more aggressively. Lastly, there's another ground attack mission here, so these guys are going to do the same here. They are going to be 240 aircraft, I think mostly Mitchells, some Mosquitoes, some Hurricanes. And these guys are going to target the rail yards as well, so reduce the rolling stock of the Germans, if you will. That is pretty much it. Let's execute these air directives, see how well that is going to turn out, and whether we're going to make any progress there, and then we can go to the ground phase. Not much in naval combat, I think. We're only trying to isolate the island of Corsica over there. Right, let's see. We can see the German losses are climbing up very nicely over here. They've lost already 100 aircraft here in air combat. We've lost about 160 or so, so even less than the Germans, which is definitely nice to see. Most of them operational losses. Yeah, the weather isn't great. Some fatigue might be happening and so on. So this is not great. I'm expecting that we are sort of ending in parity over here. But then again, the Germans can take these losses, cannot take these losses, whereas certainly we do have some replacements coming in. So yeah, let's see whether that's going to work out. Ooh, we are seeing more and more losses over here. And I think that might be, maybe we are flying our boys too much, because that is typically happening sort of towards the end of this phase here, as we're climbing up in losses. And I think that's largely due to fatigue and other items. Probably the Germans didn't even fly anymore during the later phases. So we might have to rethink that a little bit. Let's see what we've got. Oh, I did forget to mention a lot of the air superiority missions. So we were flying basically fighters, British fighters are flying over Germany to try and bait some of the Germans. Can't really penetrate that far, but it's going to be all right. Good. So what we've got over here, these are air intruder missions, so nighttime missions where single aircraft are sort of hovering around enemy bases and are trying to shoot down enemy aircraft as they are landing, which seems to be working out fairly well. 8 Germans shot down at the cost of 1 aircraft for us, so that's nice, but not really crucial. Bomber Command, you guys did lose quite a couple of recon aircraft here, actually, which is interesting to see. That normally does not happen. And in the bombing runs, you did lose 35 aircraft. Enemy lost about half of that and a couple of damaged. Yeah. On the other hand, you did manage to deal out some damage here to some of these fuel production facilities. Specifically, the synthetic fuel refineries here are of interest to us. It's okay damage, I suppose. It's not really that much of effect. I do wonder what we lost our aircrafts to, though. Yeah, basically on day 2 here, there was a big combat. Well, but still, it seems like we lost most of our aircraft over the... Yeah, due to flak. It's basically flak. Well, the rural area is extremely heavily defended. So, yeah, I guess that does make sense. Still, probably not even the worst turn here for Bomber Command, even though if we look at the damaged aircraft, that's another 200 planes damaged, more than 200 actually, so that's not great, but I guess it's fine. Tactical Air Command, you guys did lose 25 planes, mostly operational, I guess. Yeah, you didn't even need any escorts, but I guess it's fine. Did manage to deal a lot of damage here to the rail yards, which is fine. Resource production is also kind of nice. Manpower is not so nice because this is actually French civilians that we're killing here. We're not going to get any points for that. In fact, that is one of the areas where the British were actually very concerned about civilian casualties. So we are going to need to watch that quite carefully. Right, let's see what else we've got. We've got... Yeah, that's basically okay, I suppose. 25 planes lost, it's not a lot. And it did seem to do a lot of damage here. Let's look at the same thing here for the Americans. Only 8 planes lost, so that's even better. And ports and rail yards heavily damaged over here, although I do think you had a very much smaller area that you're operating in, so that's nice. How about my golden boys here, the 8th US Air Force? You lost about 27 escort planes, 26 escort planes, 27 bombers. That's alright-ish, I guess, and 52 enemies destroyed. I like that ratio. That does look good to me. That's about a 1-on-1 ratio, and the vehicle yards here pretty heavily damaged, as you can see. Actually, we're doing a lot of damage here on some of these other things that we didn't even aim for, I think. So that's nice. Yeah, and the vehicle yards, basically in Mainz, the vehicle yards are completely destroyed. And in Frankfurt, it does seem to do quite a bit of damage as well. So, yeah, I'm super happy about that. And let's look at this battle over here, because that seems to be fairly lovely over here. So, we've got 52 Germans that are attacking, and only 2 get out of that. And, yeah, you can see some of these Germans are starting to look like they are having a very low experience level. And it's definitely still extremely nice to see that. For example, these U-88s, so these are 2-engine fighters, basically converted bombers. But yeah, we are engaging these guys, 92 experience on their side, 12 are coming in, no one is coming out. So that's definitely nice to see. And even though they are mostly 2-engine bombers or 2-engine fighters, they still have a couple of Fokker Wolves here. And even these guys do suffer quite a bit of losses. So that's very nice to see. I'm extremely happy about that. Basically, only 2 Fokker Wolves survived over here. And we are coming in very nicely over here. You can actually see that some of the highest damage dealt over here is not from the Mustangs, but from the Lightnings, which is interesting to see. No, well, the Mustangs are doing their fair share as well. But yeah, effectively we are now starting to see some sweeping missions here. So aircraft flying ahead of the group and attacking the enemy, and that's lovely. That's very nice. Okay, good. I like it. That was a very, very good result. So, yeah, pretty much happy about your job over here. 15th Air Force, ooh, you lost 21 planes. That's not so great. But it did do quite a bit of damage here towards the oil installations of the Germans. So, I'm happy about that, even though really I would have loved to see... We're dealing damage to the fuel production here. Oil production is what we need. Yeah, still 21 planes. That's quite a bit. Mostly due to operational losses, probably. These guys are flying pretty far away. Pretty much no losses here, but the VU weapon sites are destroyed, so that's good to see on number 6. These guys are just flying superiority missions, and you can see we are engaging the Germans over here in massive air battles. So 50 planes on their side, 66 on ours. These are mosquitoes also, so not actually the best planes from our side from just a fighter perspective, but still we are managing to shoot down 40 Germans over here. Which is extremely lovely to see. Fairly low altitude too, because this is actually the best altitude to operate the mosquitoes at. basically very low, 15,000 feet over here. But yeah, good amount of kills here from the Czech guys in particular, whereas these guys are taking losses. And they're sort of mixed bags over here, right? So these are two-engine fighters, but they're also single-engine fighters that are suffering over here. And again, every German pilot that we are shooting down is a German pilot that's, well, not everyone. Some of them will return, and because they're parachuting, and that's okay. But yeah, still very good over here. You guys didn't really engage anyone. Still managed to lose 2 aircraft due to accidents, I suppose. Not a good air combat over here. 100 planes on our side, 24 on there. Only 20 get out. Yeah, 2-engine fighters here. The ME 410 is actually not the worst fight on their side. So that's good. Much better than the ME 210, which was basically one of the worst aircrafts of the war. Right, and number 13, our Group RAF here, engaged in extremely heavy air battles. 17 lost on our side, 41 on their side. That's very nice. I think you guys are the ones... Yeah, no, you're flying Spitfire 8. Yeah, but still... Oh, yeah, that's good to see here. Quite a lot of these guys lost. Yeah, and we are flying at very good and very nice altitude of 25,000 feet here. So very high up, but still good amount of damage. I'm happy. I'm really happy about these results, actually. Right, anything else of interest? Oh yeah, number 2 bombardment group here. You guys did take a fair amount of casualties. Okay, these guys were torn up. That's unfortunate. These are the B-24s that were going for the synthetic fuel refineries, but you did manage to finish your mission here, so that's nice. But still, that's 74 aircraft lost against only 12 on the German side, so that's harsh. And that is because these guys don't really have the escorts that we would need. What are we losing? Operational losses. And then up over here. Yeah, well, I'm guessing you're dealing some damage, and that does add to our operational losses. And you're flying very far in sort of not that great weather, but still, this is hurtful. This does hurt, but we did manage to cut off their oil, so can't really complain there. You guys did fly a couple of air superiority missions as well, so that's very nice to see. Yeah, so these are... I sent up a couple of our Thunderbolts here for the first time on air superiority missions as well. And they're neatly shooting down quite a lot of these Bf-109s. Pretty much no losses on our side. I guess the only losses that we are taking is actually operational losses. Not all, but nearly most. Nice to see. And you're getting some kills, so that does bring up your experience. We are seeing that the Germans here are starting to lose experience, which is very, very lovely to see. Good. Don't think there's anything too exciting down here, so that's fine. Good. I like it. That does mean we are now in the ground phase. So stop looking at that, stop looking at this, and basically get over towards the ground phase. Good. So let's look at the situation down here. We've got a couple of Germans sitting here. Now they are sitting on a mountain, aren't they? No, they are sitting in rough terrain. There is a bit of rough terrain over here as well. Sort of similar situation up here. So we could move you over here. Yeah, okay, let's move you down here and sort of try to clear that out from the south towards the north. Let's grab all of these guys here and do a deliberate attack here with 2 divisions. So that's the 2nd Moroccan Free French Division and part of the US regiment here, separate regiment. And we're going to try to attack these Germans. Now they are on a mountain after all. Ah, damn it. I should not have done like that, but that's fine. Here we go. 7,000 Germans are surrendering or dying, so that's lovely to see. So basically, we've cleared out these guys down there. That's nice. Can we do anything over here that is helpful? Yeah, I guess. So how about you? You guys are in light woods. I don't actually know whether light woods are better than rough terrain, but I suppose it's going to be better if we can just cut you off there. So, right, let's take all the guys that we can and try to do a deliberate attack over here. Is it going to be enough? No. 1.7. We're losing 200 men, 9 tanks, 4 guns. They're losing more than that, so that's nice. But I suppose, I'm not sure whether it's going to be okay to... Well... Okay, let's get the 1st British Division down here to try and support here in the follow-up attack. And this time they're surrendering, so that's nice. 13,000 Germans here do surrender. We are losing a couple of men, including a fighter, interestingly enough. But These guys have been cleared out, and that is the most important thing over here. Good. Okay, let's start to look a little bit further towards the north. You guys cannot support that attack at all. That's all right. There are a couple of mountain axes here. So yeah, specifically here in the center, there's mountains. So what I want to avoid is driving the Germans onto the mountain, because there they'll be a lot harder to clear out from. So let's try to... Okay, we can at least get this hex. I don't think we can get onto this hex here, unfortunately, though. Even with you over here, that's just not possible. Alright, okay, so let's start by... I suppose, yeah, you could move there, but wouldn't really do anything for us. Okay, let's move you onto the mountain, so at least we are blocking that hex from any German advance. So that's alright. I suppose if I attacked you guys over here, you couldn't really withdraw, could you? So yeah, let's try to get rid of these guys. Yeah, that's lovely to see. Surrendering all of them, lovely. That's another 7,000 Germans here. Good, I like to see that. Now you guys, unfortunately, I think you guys could retreat onto this mountain hex. So probably I want to not do that. Okay, I could get you over here, but there's a minor river, and I don't really want to attack across the river onto this position here. So, that's going to be extremely tough to clear out. I think we will have to spend at least another turn there. Speaking of, we can move you forward here so that I can move onto this mountain here at some point. Probably not this time, but at some point. And then what we're going to do is we are going to grab you guys here, advance it towards here, that's fine. And then we have some attack pattern here onto these guys next time around. That's lovely, I think. Right, let's start down here. You guys can probably do that with a hasty attack. Yeah, very lovely. 1,000 Germans or so surrendering over here. Now we've got a decent line, I would say, into this direction. You guys could move there, but that would mean that you cannot do a deliberate attack then. You guys could move over here. I think I want to get these guys to withdraw. Or do we? Yeah, the priority has to be to stop these guys from retreating onto the mountain. How about this guy? This is rough terrain. There is a river over here, so probably the tank is not going to be that useful. Well, if we attacked over here, these guys are pretty much sure to retreat onto some of these mountains. So, if I want to avoid that, I probably have to hold on some of these attacks. We could only push away from over here, which I suppose is fine. Okay, let's get the New Zealanders to over there. Then you guys can do deliberate attack here. Yeah, okay, one of you is actually surrendering. Well, the fortified zone, okay, that does make sense. 2,000 Germans, though, gone, so that's nice. And that does mean we have at least reduced the pocket here a little bit in terms of its extent. So, yeah, I think that's nice. And that does mean we will be able to build up the rail lines here much, much better. Yeah, so we will be able to build a rail line here. And that's all very nice and lovely and stuff. But the main bit has to be up here. So let's actually look at that and what we've got over here to attack these Germans potentially. We've got the 227th Infantry Division now. Yeah, we have quite a bit of superiority trying to attack here. It's not the worst idea. We've also got a couple of infantry divisions who we could get a little bit towards the front line. And I do think quite a couple of these rivers here might be frozen, are they not? No, not really. Towards the northwest, towards here, this river is frozen, so that does mean it's a little bit better. It's a little bit easier to attack there, which is nice, but yeah. And this is rough terrain. This is light woods, clear terrain. Yeah, I think we'll not have much of an issue up here, but I do think this is going to be a little bit tougher. Do we have anyone who we could bring up over here? We also do need to be a little bit mindful here about the left flank because it's really not that well secured. We've got the Polish Infantry Division here. Now you guys, you could actually come over here because you are motorized, and that's nice. But we do need to mind this scab over here, if you excuse the pun. Well, we could send over this American division, for example. You guys pretty much out of movement points because of all the fighting that you've done down here. Yeah, understandable. Well, you guys could only get towards over here, which is not really enough for me. How about you guys? 40 movement points. You could get over here potentially. So the thing is, I would like to bring the Poles up to this position, because that would mean they don't have to cross the river once they are attacking into this direction. And you know what? I think that is the most important thing here. So let's do a deliberate attack onto this position here. I think that should push them out. Yeah, very, very much so. So that's good to see. We can cross you towards this side over here. That's very nice. That does actually mean we could potentially pull you guys back here as well. Not really far enough though, so still okay. Right, and then let's see whether we can do an attack here by these paratroopers onto this position. That's probably going to be a little bit too weak. Right, so let's see. You guys can join there, right? Yeah. Okay, let's do push forward with you. You're all part of the 8th Corps, so that's good as well. You're not, but that has to be fine, I suppose. Okay, deliberate attack here. Pushing them out very easily, actually, so probably a little bit of an overkill, but you never know, so I think that's all right. Good. Okay, let's get you over here then, and you could do a hasty attack there. I think that might actually be a nice idea. Now, yeah, you're still blocked from building a base there, so we do need to get rid of these guys. Okay, let's try to push them away with the tanks. That does obviously work fine. Thing is, we don't really have enough troops to push up our front line, so to say. Yeah, I'm guessing that ultimately we will need to pull the Americans over here, simply so that they can do something over there. Right, okay. Anyone can you, for example, you've got 2 movement points here. Okay, you can at least move over here, so that does mean that these motorized troops here can sort of expand into that direction, and that's going to be all right. Because, well, you can do a hasty attack here, right? Let's try to see whether that is going to be enough to push them out. It is, very much so, actually. These guys are fairly weak. I didn't expect them to be so weak, though. Right, and that does mean we now have no blockading here, so we can create a depot. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to assign that with a priority of 4, so that does mean now we've got a proper rail line running all the way to Bologna from the large port of Neapel. So that is fine. I do like to see that. Good. Good. Yeah, we do need to secure that position, though, so we do need to move up a little bit. Can we move up with anyone, though? Well, you certainly can't. We've got the Poles. You could not come up anywhere over here. You're basically stuck down here. That's okay, though. Yeah, well, I suppose what we could do is we could move these mountain troops onto there. That's fine. And then we can potentially move up some of these guys there. And how about I move you here and get you to move on the rail line? That's actually a no-no. Yeah, potentially the rail line down here is still damaged, isn't it? Yeah. What if I move you over here? Can I now move you via rail? No, I could, but would really not be far enough. Okay, yeah. So I suppose, is this a mountain hex? No, this is just rough terrain, isn't it? No, it is mountain hex. This is a rough terrain hex. Okay, let's get over here with these infantry troops. Then the tanks do move forward to heal, like so. That's fine. And these motorized troops do move up there. Now we've got a very nice and lovely and good defensive line over there. Right, down here we will need to make sure that none of you guys are too exposed. I'm guessing I can move you up to Ravenna. Yeah, that's fine. And basically everything down here seems to be alright-ish. Good. Okay, I like it. I like it a lot. So yeah, what I'm going to do in between episodes, some organizational stuff with moving these guys about. But yeah, pretty much for the fighting, that's it. We've cleared out the pocket down there. We have made some progress up here. Could be a little bit better, but I don't mind waiting for these guys here to suffer some supply attrition as well. And basically allow us to occupy the mountain positions here first before these guys do dig in really, really well over there. So yeah, I think that's fine. And ultimately, we will be thinking about breaking out here. Most importantly, we've got a depot at Bologna now, so that's lovely to see. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you around next time. Bye-bye.